All right. So, can you get your magazines out and turn to the page that has a column that says money at the top of it? So this one here, anyone who's watching this video. Okay, so this is a column. All right. Quite literally, they have only cut out the column from what would have been a much larger page in the magazine. Okay, so it's spread across, according to the contents, page 14, and then it says continued on page 18. So it's continued from page 14. So it's spread across 2 pages in the magazine. We don't know what it's paired up with, what it's alongside, but you can imagine that it's probably, there will be an advert of something or other on the page. Okay, I think I'm going to get you guys to read it because I'm bored to sound my own voice. All right. So, Silvana, do you want to read the first, the headline, the byline, and the first paragraph for us?
Money, Questions and Answers by Sheila Black of the Financial Times.
Okay, I will pause because I want to make sure we know all of the content. Financial Times, remember the Financial Times? Tell me about it. What is it? It's a big broadsheet, yes. Can you remember anything else unusual about it? It's pink. Yep. The Financial Times is what used to be called the Pink 'Un. Here it is. Yep, okay. This is the Financial Times. It's a very well respected, very authoritative newspaper. What do you think in the 1960s the reading demographic of the Financial Times would be?
40s?
People in their 40s? Yeah, male businessmen. Yeah, I think you're definitely right with male. Yeah, it was a newspaper for people who worked in the financial districts of the major cities, mainly London, and they would be overwhelmingly male. Okay, so the fact that they had a female correspondent, Sheila Black from the Financial Times, was quite a pioneering development. Okay, and she is taking her expertise as a financial expert and writing a column for Vogue, which is very much female orientated. Probably, you can imagine, and I'm sorry if this sounds very stereotypical, but a lot of the wives of the readers of the Financial Times would be readers of Vogue. Yeah? So if you just imagine, this is sort of, it's almost like Sheila Black letting the women of Vogue in on some of the secrets that the financial secrets that their husbands would be privy to by reading the Financial Times. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. All right. When you're ready, carry on.
In the 6 months that I have been a small part of Vogue, I have come to learn a lot about Vogue readers from their letters. Most of them confirmed things I already knew or suspected. For example, I knew that they were intelligent. I've always been one myself. I knew that most of them were happily free of financial problems, that a number were definitely rich, and that there must be a fair balance to those who have more taste than money.
Good. All right. Anything not clear about in that? Ballast just means large amount. There must be quite a lot of people in this group. So what's she saying about the readership of Vogue?
They're very wealthy.
Wealthy. So words that she uses to describe the readership is intelligent, yes.
So educated.
Educated.
Free of financial problems.
Yeah, good. a number, not all of them are definitely rich, and there must be a fair ballast of those who have more taste than money. What does that mean?
Like,
There's a good amount that have more like taste, like rather than just spending their money like at once, they have like a certain taste that they appeal to.
Yes.
they like, I don't know, they like things that are more expensive than
Than they have money for. Yes. Yeah. So the usual version of that phrase would be you've got more money than taste, or more money than sense. People who spend their money quite kind of, on quite gaudy things. They waste their money on fripperies. But she's saying there are lots of people, probably in Vogue, who have really good taste, but perhaps don't have quite as much money as they would like. Okay. So the purpose of this column is going to be to advise people how to make more money or how to spend what money they have wisely. All right, but this is really useful article for establishing the demographics of the audience. It's almost like she's doing our job for us. She's telling us what Vogue readers are like, and there's something else crucial that she admits to. So she's for 6 months she's been writing for it. Sorry?
That she's also been one herself.
She's been a Vogue reader for many years. Yes, always been. Yeah. So she's now writing for Vogue. We know that she also writes for the Financial Times, but she has always been a reader of Vogue. Okay, so she is part of the audience as well as part of being one of the gatekeepers. Good. All right. Let's do a paragraph each. Connie, can you do the next one?
The thing that has most surprised me is the number of women with money who admit that they have done nothing more with it than buy what they want and leave the rest in the bank. The wish to invest is there, but the fear of losing money inhibits most women from taking the first steps.
Good. All right. Anything to comment on in that?
She's stating that women should, with the money that they have, they should be more free with it.
They should, yes. So they should have more confidence to be able to spend their money. Yeah. Fear of losing money inhibits most women from taking the first steps, implying perhaps that there's maybe a binary opposition there with men who are possibly more carefree or more willing to take risks with their money.
Is it because it's like this is the first time women sort of have had money of their own to spend, so they're more like apprehensive to do anything?
Absolutely. Good. Yeah. And they also, perhaps the first time where they are taking control of their own finances. So it might be that there have been rich women in the past, but they probably asked their husbands or let their husbands deal with the money. But now, women, like Sheila Black of the Financial Times, are taking control of their own finances. Good. All right, Amelia.
Most of these letters ask for my advice in rather vague terms. Dear Miss Black, what can I buy with £500? It's just not enough. Some readers even leave out the £500 bit. I have had to ask something like 1/3 of my correspondence for more information because I can find any kind of helpful answer. So I hope those of you who are not so vague will be patient while I make some suggestions for the others.
Good. All right, let's go to our new favourite website and find out how much £500 is. Okay. Okay, so currency converter. So in 1965, £500.
Well, that might be more right. No, you're probably right.
Anyone want to make a guess?
Some of it between 1,000 and 2,000.
1,000.
Oh!
Okay. 8,809.
107 cows.
Only one horse.
112 sheep.
Yeah.
112 sheep.
This, as I said, this is a historical converter. Ignore all of this. This is, it's basically, if you want to find out how much money was worth in the sort of 1400s, this is a good way, yeah? But it still works for, in 1965, £500 would be the equivalent of about £8,800 in today's money, about $10,000, $10,000 US. So it's a, so it's not a a vast sum, but it's substantial, isn't it? So yeah, it's the kind of money that if you were suddenly found that you were given, you'd want to do something with it. Yeah, you wouldn't just you wouldn't want to, particularly if you were, say, 10 years older than you are now, you wouldn't want to go and just splurge it on clothes and so on. I'd like to think you might do, I don't know, but you might think that's worth investing, I could do something with that money, okay? But the question, so what can I buy with that amount of money is probably not a very helpful question to ask when Miss Black doesn't know anything about your tastes, your interests, your lifestyle, your circumstances. Some readers even leave out the £500 bit, the £8,800. Yeah, so Miss Black, what can I buy, presumably? What a vague question to ask, okay? So you get a sense that although it's great that, she's championing women who are wanting to make financial investments, she's also it sounds a little bit patronising to me. I don't know. It's just the way that she's characterising quite a lot of the readership as people who would ask such a silly question as, "Dear Miss Black, what can I buy?" Yeah. So I hope those of you who are not so vague, a little bit sarcastic there, would you say? Yeah, be writing things down, please. Yeah, as much as you can. I hope those of you who are not so vague will be patient while I make some suggestions for the others. Okay, so if you are not one of these silly people who only write a question, what can I buy with £500? Just be patient while I help those of others in the readership who are less savvy. So she's kind of talking to lots of different parts of the audience at the same time here. All right. Next one, Savannah.
First, the borrowers. I'm all for people borrowing money, but when you ask how to go about it, please say what you want the money for and what security you can offer. Security means anything you own that has any intrinsic value, pictures, jewelry, share certificates, and any security you offer has to be lodged with the bank that lends you the money. That is anything sellable like jewelry or certificates. Houses and other property involve documents. No lending company, banks, finance houses lends without security. Although it can sometimes be estimated profits from a business, intangible securities of this kind are not usual. And before leaving the subject of securities, they have to belong to the borrower or pledged by the borrower's guarantor on her behalf. It may sound obvious enough, but it seems that a lot of people expect lenders just to take the joint home on trust and advance any loan asked.
Okay, good, well done. That's really complicated, that. Would you say? Yeah, even though her idea here is to try and be as plain speaking as possible, and to kind of, as though she almost is spelling out the blindingly obvious. It doesn't actually sound blindingly obvious when she spells it out. It just sounds, so these concepts are still quite complicated, aren't they? Yeah, so she's definitely not, although she can patronise the readership by saying, some of you ask silly questions, she doesn't patronise them by giving them really straightforward answers. She deals with them in a sophisticated and I would say possibly slightly not scary, but there's something about that. If you were worried it's very intellectual, yeah. If you were worried what to do with your money and you had no idea, I'm not sure that you'd walk away from that paragraph thinking, I know now what to do, okay? But let's try and work out what she's saying is, you can't just go into a bank and ask to borrow some money. You have to have something, security, you have to have something to back it up with, yeah? So if you're lending money, then it's got to be, if I can't afford to pay it back, you can take my jewellery, or you can take my, what other things does she list? Certificate, I've got shares in something, okay? So it's still assuming that people have a certain amount of capital, or whatever the word is. I'm not an economist by any means. It's certain that people have a certain amount of financial security before they want to go and borrow money. So if you're broke, this article's no good for you, is it? Because you wouldn't have any way of borrowing money without the security to pay it back. Okay. There's just that last bit about a lot of people expect lenders just to take the joint home on trust and advance any loan asked. Joint home, that means that a house that is owned by both the husband and the wife. So presumably there are lots of women who are just going and saying, I own this house with my husband and I need to take a mortgage out, and thinking that the bank won't ask any more questions. All right. Let's move on. Can you?
Home improvements crop up in many lessons, enough to make it worth repeating that these can often be done through hire purchase companies or personal loan schemes, which gives them income tax reliefs, a higher purchase repayments on offer, and that building societies with insufficient funds to meet full mortgage applications are lending more and more to existing borrowers to improve the value of the house, partly owned by both lender and borrower. But there are usually minimum amounts one can borrow this way. It costs money to administer loans, and a few companies will lend such small sums that they lose on the deal. So don't expect to get £50 for a repainting the wall from anyone except the bank manager, if he's willing.
Okay. All right. This tells us quite a lot about trends in the 60s. Ordinary people were starting to take more pride in and more individual kind of stylistic decisions about the decoration of their own homes. So I think people who, before the war, would never have owned their own homes. They would have lived in rented property, and you can't really do anything to a rented property. Once you start to own your own house, okay, even though you don't fully own it because you've got a mortgage, all right, it's yours to do what you want with. So you can now start to improve it. You can redecorate it. You can, I don't know, just change the layout of the rooms and so on. Okay, that costs money. Lots of people are writing to Sheila Black saying, I would like to borrow some money in order to be able to improve my home. How do I go about doing it? And she suggests some ways there. Again, I don't think we need to get into the nitty-gritty of the financial details of how these things work. It's more about what this article tells us about the interests and concerns of the readership. So we get the idea here that lots of women are interested in improving their homes in some way now, which is quite a new trend in the 1960s. All right, next one. Who's reading this one? Amelia, I think it's you, isn't it? On insurance problems.
On insurance problems, there is also a
Dearth, that means not very much around.
A dearth of information.
Yeah, there's hardly any information around about insurance problems.
So much so that I am beginning to understand why so many people have the wrong policies. Taking life insurance as an example, essential data includes the age of the insured and the beneficiaries, income sources of income, and how long both are likely to be stable. Medical history is important, whether or not one wants an endowment and at what age, whether one's expectation is of greater or smaller income in the years ahead, and so on.
Okay, all right. So I think that again is a deliberately quite bewildering, confusing paragraph. She's laying out all of the kind of things that you need to consider before you take out life insurance policies, and I think she deliberately makes it sound quite a scary proposition, as in there are so many pitfalls. Okay, let's carry on. So we're on the next page. Then there are the women. It's back to you. So it starts, then there are the women who want to insure. So we finished that page, so now there.
Then there are the women who want to insure, borrow, or invest without their husbands knowing about it. I am
let's just pause that. This is a really significant thing, okay? So this for all of the, you know, the growing freedoms and rights and the advances of feminism, this is a really important paragraph. In British financial law, married women are never independent, even if they are the chief breadwinners. What is a chief breadwinner?
And the breadwinner is the one that brings the money home.
Yeah, person that makes the most money out of the couple. Yeah, this was true. I think until I need to look this up. Until at least mid-1970s, a woman wasn't allowed to get a mortgage on a house.
That's mad.
I know, and I'm pretty sure if you weren't married, your father would have to take the mortgage out on your behalf, even if you were Miss Sheila Black writing for the Financial Times, or yeah. That's bad, isn't it?
It's not even that long ago.
Yeah. Check.
That's at the time my dad's been alive.
Yeah. Shocking. Yeah. And there's this idea, because of that, women can't keep financial affairs private. They can't.
No, yeah, 1974 as well.
What's it say?
It says 1974.
1974. There we go. Yeah. So until 1974, a woman couldn't take out a mortgage. There are women who want to insure, borrow, or invest without their husbands knowing about it. So it's very difficult if you can't take out a mortgage, and it's very difficult for you to get a loan, then you can't do things truly independently. I don't know what she means when she says, I'm not going into the moralities of this.
I think it's a dig, like a little digger.
Yeah, like
Married women, yeah, so maybe they're taking out money because they're having affairs or something like that, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, they have no chance of keeping their affairs completely private. Carry on with banks honour.
Banks honor wifely privacy, but in the end comes that income tax return which has to be signed by the husband after all the details of wife's income, etc. have been entered. And in nearly all other financial transactions, married women have to bring their husbands in somehow. Sorry, but there it is.
Okay. Yeah, so she's blunt, isn't she? I don't know, she doesn't sound hugely sympathetic.
I can't work out if she's like either wanting to just be realistic to like the readers, or if she's like, because she's worked in the Financial Times, she spends so much time around mostly men, she's now got these sort of like.
I think it's
Yeah,
both,
good point.
because it's sort of like, when you like, I don't know, not had that rights when you were younger, now there's all these women wanting, it's like, I didn't get it, so why should you? And it was being around all the men.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah. People say a lot about, Mrs. Thatcher, the first female Prime Minister, was, pioneering in that she was the first woman in the job, but she didn't, lots of women say she didn't do anything for women's rights. She became Prime Minister and then kind of surrounded herself entirely with men in the cabinet and wasn't interested in feminism or anything like that. So maybe, there's a bit of that with Sheila Black. She's like, yeah, you're right, she's become one of the Financial Times men now, and she doesn't, sorry, but that's it. You've got.
If this was a man saying this, there would be an absolute.
It'd be an absolute.
Outrage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And if you hadn't read the byline at the top, this is why the bylines are important.
yeah.
You didn't know that this was by Sheila Black. If this was by Simon Black, or if you didn't know, you would assume this was written by a man, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Published, but it's not exactly.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Sorry, but there it is. I would highlight that phrase. Sorry, but there it is. That just sums up her attitude, doesn't it? Yeah. Like it or lump it. You got a pen? But you're making lots of notes on your computer, yeah? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Connie.
And that brings me to another subject of letters. Summed up, the question is, can I invest and make money without paying income tax? The answer is a positive no. The illusion that a tax-free dividends don't have to be declared is just that, an illusion. It's just that, an illusion. The stock or share or bond holdings have to be declared, as as do the dividends, even when no tax is due. Forms should be filled in regardless of whether anyone is eligible for any tax or no at all. And now that there is capital gains tax, the position is even stricter.
Capital gains tax. I'm going to have to look this up because I'm not an expert on this, but it's. Capital gains tax. It's the profit. Okay, it's the profit when you sell or dispose of something that's increased in value. Okay, so so there's an example.
Oh, like an
For example,
old antique or something.
Yeah, if you bought a painting for 5,000 and later sold it for 25,000, you've made a gain of £20,000, and then you have to pay tax on it. Okay, so there are certain rules about what you have to pay tax on and when, and I'm sure there are clever accountants that can get you out of some of that. But she's explaining things which I would say still require a little bit of background knowledge. You know, I wasn't entirely sure how to explain to you what capital gains tax was there. She's being blunt. She's not taking any kind of she's not kind of holding your hand through these things, yeah. And I like that the answer is a positive no in capital letters as well. It's almost like hectoring, isn't it? She's kind of
Direct address.
very direct address to the reader. Very good, yeah. So yeah, if you're thinking about the mode of address of this article, it's conversational, but it is very much blunt and informative. Yeah, good. All right. Don't need to worry too much about any of the other economic issues there. Really, it's more about the tone in which she's expressing it. All right, we've got some amounts of money here as well. Savannah.
Which brings me to shares. One woman asked how she should invest £10,000.
Okay. Let's pause. We'll do the 10,000, and then we should be able to work out everything else. Right, £10,000. That's yeah, probably. You know, we'll round it up. It's getting on for £200,000 now. Yeah. Okay. So make a note of these amounts of money. Okay. So
She had that much money to invest.
a woman has. She has that amount of money of her own to invest. Okay.
From working or just
We don't know. It doesn't say. I don't know where she's got it from. It'd be amazing if she managed to save that amount of money from working. Possibly she inherited it. Yeah. By the way, the reason we're doing this is because when you write about this article, you'll want to say, that would be approximately blah 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 in today's money. So don't feel you have to say that would be £176,182. You'd say, that would be almost £200,000. Something would be close enough. Okay.
2,252 sheep. That's mad.
That's good, isn't it? Okay. One woman asked how she should invest. That amount of money. Carry on.
Others were more modest, but the question was at basic. A good many just wanted to dabble. Or
What does
just do
dabble mean?
something.
sort of play around, not really
Yeah.
have the deep interest in it, just want
Yeah, just kind of like putting your toe in the water. I suppose that's what it literally means. Yeah, it's kind of, you're not, I don't want to throw all of my money into something. I just want to have a little play around. Yeah.
Dabble or just do something about money. Obviously, any advisor must first know what proportion of your total wealth is represented by £10,000, £5,000, or even £100.
Okay, so £100 is, divide that by 100 basically. It's easier to just do it properly. So £5,000 is half of that, so almost £100,000 in today's money, and £100 then is that, nearly £20,000. Okay. Even even £2,000, sorry. So much in media studies now. We'd have to be doing maths and economics as well, politics. Okay, but yeah, all right. So £2,000. So even £2,000, she says. That's still an amount of money, isn't it? Yeah. It's so again, she's assuming something about the Vogue readership, that they certainly have a fair amount of money, yeah, and that they would consider that sum to be like a really kind of piddly, trifling sum, even just that amount of money, yeah.
Or even £100. It worse to lose £100 if that is all you have, than £10,000 when you have £20,000.
Okay, so it's worse to lose that. It's almost worth kind of just crossing out these numbers and writing out in the modern equivalent, isn't it? So it's the equivalent of saying it's worth to lose 2,000 if that's all you have, than 200,000 when you have 400,000. Big sums of money. All right, carry on.
Then one must know whether you are able to lock the money away and for how long. If it might need needed suddenly, premium bonds are the safest answer, since you should not be forced to sell shares at a loss. Another thing is whether one wants a good income and therefore high-yielding shares, or no income and as much capital gain as possible, taxed or not. Age is important too. There is little point in the really elderly buying long-term or undated stocks of many types.
Okay. All right. So again, some technical stuff about the precise way you can invest your money and what to spend it on. Don't need to worry too much about that, but I think the last sentence is quite another blunt one, isn't it? Age is important too. There is little point in the really elderly buying long-term or undated stocks of many types, because you'll be dead before they're worth anything. Tell it like it is, Sheila Black. I like it. Yeah. All right. Carry on, Connie.
These are the recurring points in letters. I hope I don't sound too pompous when I say I do feel rather inadequate when I have to keep answering that I can't help but down another letter. But it's true. Anything I'm told is completely confidential, and the same is true of any information you want to give to your bank manager, insurance broker, or agent building society, or anybody else.
Good. All right. I like that. I hope I didn't sound too pompous. Well, she does sound quite pompous,
Yeah.
doesn't she? Yeah. But she's basically saying, unless you tell me more about your financial situations, I can't help you. Okay. I will keep everything in confidence, as will anybody else reputable who you ask for advice. But I basically don't assume that I'm going to be able to help you unless you give me as much information as you can. All right, Amelia.
Finally, I am always being asked about shares and why I don't take them. In broad terms, I will, after the shakeout of the last budget restrictions and the resettlement to normal in the early autumn, we hope. But only broadly, shares buying is rather a sensitive day-to-day business, with prices and situations altering while the magazine is being printed, or in even less time.
Okay, that's a fairly matter-of-fact point. Yeah, a monthly magazine is not a place to go looking for up-to-the-minute share options or share advice rather, because the value of stocks can alter dramatically from day to day, week to week. Do you know? I'm not sure how much it really matters, but do you know which party was in government at this time in Britain?
In 1970.
1965.
Was it Labour?
It was Labour. Well done. Was that a guess? No? It's good. Yeah. Yes. Watch The Crown.
Yes.
Good. Have you seen any of the new one?
No, I don't want any spoilers. I'm just
there's
doing
no-
work.
Okay.
But it's already happened.
It's just coming out.
No, but
Probably
no,
spoiler.
Yeah.
but there is sometimes they like sort of,
Yeah.
admit
So
that
it was
it's-
a Labour government.
like they might.
Okay. The Prime Minister was Harold Wilson at the time. Okay, in So he came in 1964 after many, many years of Conservative government, and he led the country till 1970. Okay, so he was Prime Minister for 6 years. And it's, I think, knowing what you know about left and right wing and how Labour likes to tax people more and spend more, the readers of the Financial Times were probably not huge fans of the Labour government, and probably many readers of Vogue probably wouldn't be huge fans of the Labour government because they'd be worried about how much tax they were going to have to spend. There was an incredibly high rate of tax for very wealthy people in the 1960s. It was at one point it went to 95%. So for every £100 you earned, you'd only get to keep 5 of it if you were incredibly wealthy. And if you know the Beatles, they've got a song called Taxman, which came out in 1966, which actually references that. It's worth having a listen to. Anyway, enough about the 60s. Last paragraph.
Obviously, under present conditions, one should back super management and skills. So I shall talk to the top managers and the successful buyers of jewelry or pictures or antiques and pass their advice on in the hope of shedding some light on what looks like being a long, dark winter.
Good. All right, so she is talking there about, she's going to go and ask some experts in various professions and in various commodities, things that you can invest in, and she will come back to you with some general advice about the sort of things to invest in, perhaps. Okay, but what do you make of that last bit of the sentence?
Kind of like saying that she knows this just probably not gonna be like bad. Like probably a lot of people are still gonna be quite oblivious, and she's hoping to just teach them at least something, even if it, and she thinks it's probably gonna take a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, good. I wonder, it strikes an odd note. What's the theme of this magazine? No, well, sorry, the theme of this column is money. What's the theme of this edition of this magazine?
Sophia Loren?
Sophia Loren, what's all the cover lines? Summer. Yeah, marvellous, mad, midsummer, sands, swim, sea, sun, shakes of fear, scintillate anywhere, even at picnics. It's all about how wonderful the summer is going to be. And then the end of her money article is about, yeah, it's going to be a long, dark winter. So it's like, almost like enjoy yourself now, but kind of be prepared that, and it's, in a way, it's echoes of current times and the concerns about the financial situation in the country. I'm not sure. I need to find out a bit more about what was happening in 1965 and whether there was a financial crisis, but it certainly sounds like she's erring on the side of being quite cautious.
Would this be considered like a binary opposite?
Yeah, I think it would. Yeah, good.
So,
Yeah,
What do you think?
never. Right. I would say one tip for writing about media studies is never look at binary opposition in the eye. Yeah, if you see anything that could be an opposite, stick it in. Make a note of it. Right. Put brackets of Levi Strauss behind it. You're going to sound impressive there. Good. All right. So I think when we come to talk about audiences later on, this article is going to be really, really key to establishing both the kind of people who are reading Vogue and how sort of experts sort of talk down to them, perhaps. Even, women journalists who you might assume to be on their side. Good. All right. I think we've probably just got time to start having a quick look at this advert here. Okay. So before we read any of the copy, first impressions of it as a page layout.
I think it's nicely laid out.
It's quite similar to how you see it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the way.
I felt there be more? Oh, Vogue, I don't know.
It's
No, I feel like you could get that you have all products, images, like
we probably haven't got any adverts for makeup in here because it's a little bit too high end. Must get, over the weekend I will go and buy the latest issue of Vogue so we can compare what Vogue looks like now, but I'm sure there are makeup adverts in there. I would say that just because the lower six media studies group are just starting their work on the Tide advert, what do you remember about the text on the Tide advert?
It was kind of like a direct mode of address directed like towards women,
Yeah.
like that they love it and being
No wonder
stereotyped.
Not even the content of the text, just the kind of the layout of it, or the
just like
There's a-
women is bold.
yeah. I'm not asking the right questions here, am I? Sorry.
Conventionally.
Shit. The point I wanted to make is there's loads of writing on the advert. Sorry, yeah, I should have asked the question in a better way there. Loads of writing. The adverts still tended to be quite wordy because women were still getting used to the idea of being consumers, and it was felt by lots of advertising copywriters that they needed to be given lots of information to make their own choice. Yeah. So in the Tide advert, you get all of that text that you wouldn't get in a washing powder advert these days. Here as well, you get an awful lot of text, I think, compared to what a modern advert would look like. Yeah. It's almost laid out like it's an article in a magazine or even a newspaper article. It's got columns, it's got a headline. It has like a stand first. Lots of the features of an article in this advert. And it's only the fact, I think, that it's in a different typeface to most of the other text in the magazine. Although, one thing you will notice if you're eagle-eyed about fonts is there's a much greater variety of fonts used in this magazine than there would be in a modern magazine. They seem to kind of pick and choose what they want to do here. So even then, I'm almost certain this is an advert because it's by Revlon. But it is just possible that this could be an article written by somebody in the magazine. There's no byline to tell us who it's written by, which is what makes me think it must be an advert. But it could fool you into thinking this is a proper piece of journalism, I think. The image is striking. Anything to say about the image?
It's saturated.
Desaturated, good, yeah.
You can like tell like the blue eyeshadow.
Yeah,
It's overstratified.
yes, good. So the unimportant parts of the image are desaturated, leaving just the striking eyes with the bold primary colour and the heavy use of mascara and eyeliner. It certainly grabs your attention, doesn't it? And it's almost like she's looking out of the magazine at you. I know every picture where somebody looks at out of the frame, you could say that, but there's definitely something extremely striking, extremely attention-grabbing about that. Good. All right, we will have to stop in a second. Just look at the headline of the article: "The Applied Art of Eye Making" by Revlon. Anything?
It sounds so professional, like
Yeah.
a proper art.
A proper art, a proper.
What's the makeup thing that we were like? Elf maybe? Elf products?
It sounds like an proper intellectual discipline. It's almost like something you could study at university. Okay, and of course you can. Of course you can study, makeup. I don't think you could in the 1960s. I don't think there was such a thing as degrees for for this sort of thing. But it's aspirational, isn't it? Saying that if you buy Revlon and you know how to use it, then you are an artist. Possibly the fact that the word "the" at the start is in italics, in a very fancy-looking italic script, is the equivalent of saying the applied art, as in, you know, there is only one way of doing it properly. Okay. All right, I think we'll leave it there. Do continue to reread these articles, read ahead, so that next lesson you're familiar with everything that we're looking at. Yeah.
What you said
About the so there's a way of saying, you know, like the place to go, the place to be seen. It's like if you stress the word the and pronounce it like the, it's a way of saying that it's the only acceptable version. So it's by stressing the word the here, it's like saying this is the way to do it. We're going to teach you the exclusive, correct way in which to apply makeup. Don't worry if you don't understand that point. It's a very subtle thing about the way people pronounce things in English, but
I just needed a word or two.
yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right. Stop recording.